The culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on the fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
Both games.
Sportsball, brought to you once again by DraftKings. It's that time of the year when we reflect on the 12 months that have passed. Hopefully things have gone well for you, but there's still a few moves to make on the football season. The playoff teams are being solidified, and January is a time for tension. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can further add to it with a few tantalizing offers. First of all, new customers can bet just $5 and receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. For us grizzled veterans, there's the no sweat bet. Same game parlays are an interesting wrinkle. Suppose you have a hunch about Green Bay and New York but want to make multiple bets on that matchup. Their no sweat bet will save you if it doesn't pan out, guaranteeing you a bonus bet just for taking the risk. It's a good sweetener. And as always, don't forget about daily fantasy contests if DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state. For those that do, simply download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my promo code UTREE while signing up to take advantage of these offers. DraftKings is an official betting partner of the NFL, so you can't go wrong if you wish to partake. But if you do, just remember to gamble responsibly. Pivotal match for playoff futures or not, this only confirmed one thing. The New Orleans Saints suck. Not even the fraud category that everyone throws out there for teams, myself included. They just fucking suck. The fleur-de-lis is mangled by a bunch of morons that channeled their inner Arthur Smith against the Rams. Dennis Allen gets called a coward for being too conservative? Fuck it, just go for it repeatedly when the analytical advantage is minimal. And then fuck that up with terrible play calling. It'd be awfully nice if his defense was ready to face the Rams' attack. All day long, Matthew Stafford could do whatever the hell he wanted. Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams could do whatever the hell they wanted. LA's offense looked to be back to their Super Bowl heyday while the Saints did next to nothing with Alvin Kamara. The whole organization is a check down on second and long. It'd be one thing if New Orleans was disappointing, but it's hard to feel sympathy for them when nearly all of us were screaming that they weren't a true contender since they signed Derek Carr. Not when the rest of the roster is flawed and injury prone and their coaching staff is full of idiots. And of course, they try to come back when it's too little too late. Wow, Derek Carr had a great game. Where the fuck has this been all year? It's awfully cute, but with one of the easiest schedules in football, alongside skill positions oozing with talent should lead to a lot more than that. The Rams will safely guide you into the cold embrace of football hell while they all but lock up a playoff spot of their own. Who dat? A team that needs to rebuild badly. Oh great. Now the Steelers bother to show up for a game. Now they outright crush a divisional foe when the season's been pissed away. Now the Bengals turn into a pumpkin after midnight. I don't know how a team has the most convincing, seamless victory in years, yet I'm pissed at them for it. With Mason Rudolph, the red zone reindeer, starting, you'd think Cincy would ride the great momentum they had to a win, but this wasn't just a blown tire. Both damn axles fell off. The Jake Browning Cinderella story has seemingly come to an end. Forcing terrible passes, unable to read Pittsburgh's defensive backups, just an all-around disaster. I don't know what the fuck their game plan was, but it was apparently to allow George Pickens to have a breakout game and Mike Tomlin to bullshit to another winning season. The road was hard in general, but the Bengals have all but bungled a playoff spot. Tends to happen when you can't stop the run and go winless in your own division. It's poetry, as has always been written in the book of the AFC North. But seriously, Pittsburgh, I'd be a lot more satisfied if you didn't shit it against damn two-win teams. Set sail for the open seas of piracy, lads. This match is the first of many exclusive to Peacock. Thank God I can call that a tax write-off. Perhaps the Chargers can use their whole season as one as well. Maybe the Bills can too. They've gone from besting Super Bowl contenders to heinously playing down to a competition so low they might as well have been high schoolers. Perhaps one of these days Buffalo will stop carelessly turning the ball over. In a normal world, the Bills would be up by multiple scores and we all go back to suffering through stupid political debates at the dinner table. Those debates might be on the merits of Buffalo as a franchise. A classic trap game in more ways than one. So many damn smoke and mirror situations that are masked by playing an opponent as weak as Liquid LA. They're both nowhere near their potential as a team, yet are repeatedly being bailed out by high-end talent. It's a very strange situation. One that might be rectified the moment they stop fucking the ball. But that's more a long shot than faux LA doing anything with it. Dicker the kicker uses his golden leg to take the lead. Not surprising they blew this, right? Buffalo remembered that they're playing the Chargers, and Josh Allen becomes fire god on the final drive. How cliche. It was less the Bills won and more they escaped their own repeated incompetence. I'll give them the most sarcastic golf clap in the world as I await their impending doom in heartbreaking fashion. The Bolts simply got the electric chairs a mercy killing. Fuck you, Spanos.
I did it! Revenge!
Worst passing offense against the worst passing defense. Only one can retain their title of suckitude. And it's looking like Washington's not only holding that belt of shit, they're packing it in and making hotel reservations in the Bahamas. Next to no one on the commies seems to give a shit. And it shows by folding 20 points to the Jets in the blink of an eye. It's less New York doing well and more just taking advantage of fuck-ups. Sam Howell, how do I put this? In 2 weeks, he's gone from the potential future QB of the franchise to wondering if he's even going to get another serious chance. His gunslinging abilities are shooting less than blanks. They're shooting his eye out. Carson Wentz in the clutch vibes. And Rivera's still trying to win in the blaze of glory, so Jacoby Brissett goes back in for the burnt Faker Mayfield. It's still a 20-point game. There's no way Washington's coming back into this one. With Jacoby's backup Brisket, be serious for once. The Jets blew it? What the hell? I know their defense has stopped giving a shit, but to the point of active sabotage? Okay, this is getting a little too ridiculous for our liking. New York's keeping Saleh and Douglas around, so they'll get the final drive for meaningless platitudes. Just kick the damn field goal and end this shit.
In his 12th NFL season to try to save the day for the Jets from 54. Good snap, good hold. The kick from Zerline is good.
Game that shouldn't have been close to a game. Both teams should be given L's for the spirit of Tank Bowl. Much shame to the Jets. I'd be bashing the commies just as hard, but their secondary's doing more than enough of that for them. We are in the most desirable of all possible timelines. A world where Joe Flacco is leading a team to a playoff run in 2023. What a time to live! Those beautiful rainbow spirals harkening back to 2012, it's a throwback to a better era. Joe Flacco is elite. Not even the sarcastic elite we were throwing around 6 years ago. Legitimately elite. The first time throwing over 300 yards in 3 straight games in his career. Leading the charge to victories left and right with his arm. You may argue that the Texans are battered to all hell and the Magic's running out, but fuck you. This is the meme that the football world has been dying for. Cleveland has not only all but purchased a ticket to January, they stamped and sealed that baby with a shitload of injuries that keep piling up in their mass grave. Case Keenum's revenge tour against the Browns ain't got nothing on Flacco magic. He went to a St. Louis Rams for him. So bad he got benched for General Mills, part of this balanced breakfast. If there's any good news, Houston, you might have Stroud back next week. Do or die time. Good luck. Speaking of the AFC South, the Colts crashed down to reality hard this week. To be fair, they've been playing way over their heads this season, and I commend the hell out of them for it. However, in Georgia, Indy just fell flat on their faces. It's typical Falcons football. Play like absolute shit against awful teams and in must-win scenarios, then somehow pull off a perfectly executed game plan when the season is all but lost. Finally, Arthur Smith used his logic and benches the absolutely shitty quarterback for a less shitty one. It's like we've been screaming for months. Is Taylor Heineke perfect? Hell no. But Heineke isn't throwing into triple coverage 4 separate times a game. Actually using Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts on the offense. Holy shit, it's a goddamn breakthrough. With the defense putting Minshew through hell, it's the Steelers phenomenon. Atlanta won in unbelievably convincing fashion for the first time in ages, and I'm somehow even angrier at them for it. Falcons, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. You don't get credit when you piss away nearly an entire season. I don't care if you dominated. Get the fuck out of here. Solidly performing quarterback and a team in dire need of a win to stay alive against the literal worst team in football. This should be a relatively easy recap where I make shitty jokes about how bad Carolina is for 30 seconds. Well, it should be, but I can have no respite from the horrors of bullshit. You see, despite Green Bay having free reign on offense against the bottom feeder, Bryce Young is cooking a 5-star dinner. Yes, Bryce Young. He who has looked absolutely overmatched in a system the ADL finds offensive and distasteful is looking like his first overall pedigree for the first time all season. We know damn well the domestic terrorist responsible for such a travesty. Vanilla Joe Barry's gifting endless presents to the Panthers offense. And it's allowing them to stay in the game, despite Jordan Love and the Packers crushing those before them. A 14-point lead just before the fourth quarter, Vanilla Joe Barry's on the case. Watch as he molds and calls for a train wreck on back-to-back crucial drives, endlessly surrendering yardage like it's nothing at all. And before you know it, the game's tied. Why didn't Barry get fired after last week's shit show again? He's the defensive equivalent of Matt Canada. Good news for Green Bay, you're playing the Panthers, so no one's really going to notice some of the questionable calls that go your way. Off to the red zone to kick a field goal to put it away. Joe Barry was eager to let his opponent get to field goal range and crunch, but lo and behold, they couldn't get the spike down in time. Allegedly. Once again, nobody's really going to complain since it's the Panthers and their fans stopped giving a shit weeks ago. Will the shit stain of Barry finally be thrown in the toilet? Probably not. Seattle never makes this easy. If you followed them, even in passing, you know this to be an undeniable truth. Things should be a breeze on paper. The Seahawks are getting Geno back from a nagging injury. Meanwhile, Ryan Tannehill is getting his swan song as Levis is out with his own ailment. If you were to guess that Seattle played down to competition and gave their fans an endless supply of heart attacks for Christmas, you win nothing. This is what they do pretty much every week. King Henry's had a hard season. Fresh off his worst performance as a Titan, he reinforces that he still has some juice left in the tank. With his arm. God bless him. The Seahawks respond in kind with yet another failure in the red zone. Broken damn record. Their defense does stop Tennessee's red zone attempts, so there's a silver lining. Unfortunately, Seattle's down by 7 and the heart attacks keep on coming. Slow, methodical, grinding football is the name of the second half. Long marches eating all the clock in a feast of the 7-minute drive. More failures in the red zone for Seattle, go figure. But their defense is able to solve the Rubik's Cube of the Titans' offense, so a chance is available to take the lead. It'll take 96 yards and a couple of lucky breaks due to a lack of discipline, but the 6 points are secure. The lead, however, is not. You thought that drive was long? Try an almost 9-minute, 75-yard display of superiority. Their defense was doing all right, but they can't stop them now if they tried. And even if they could, brutal penalties are foolishly extending it. It's too late. King Henry rumbles again to counter, and panic ensues. Now Seattle has to rush, and rush they shall. Scrambling to get yardage and traction, but they do get a lifeline. Thank you, defensive pass interference. But the red zone is a different beast, and they'll have to conquer it to escape this limbo.
Smith, end zone, and it is caught for the touchdown! Colby Parkinson!
Do you ever think about not making this so hard on yourself, Seattle? It'd be awfully nice if you didn't. Haven't you learned of the consequences of playing on the edge for so long? It is a win, I guess. Just get ready for Pittsburgh and move on. The smell of blood is in the air. Detroit has been dying for this moment for a long time. Yet Minnesota's in a must-win situation. With Nick Mullins at the helm, it's a magic grab bag and most of the time it punches you in the face. Missed interceptions resulting in crazy touchdowns are the key to his game. The Lions may be gifting the Vikings a chance to upend them, but Mr. Mullins, he's just too kind. He's Brett Favre with a conscience. This time he's giving back to the poor instead of stealing from them. Really awful interceptions aplenty, allowing Detroit to jump out to a convincing 10-point lead. But don't fret, because Nick Mullins is a grab bag. Sometimes you get some really amazing drives out of it. It's the epitome of frustration, yet the Vikings do have a 4-point advantage. Did I mention this is a back-and-forth affair? Detroit tends to rev up their engines and roar back with several dominating drives, an average of 7 minutes long apiece, dicing a Flores unit wheeling and fatigued, unable to be stopped even with the most valiant of attempts. It's now a 9-point game. The Vikings do manage to drive down the length of the field, but in the red zone, well, it's Nick Mullins. What did you expect? It's only a field goal and you'll accept that. Now time is winding down, and the Lions can bury their opponent, but are unable to truly seal the deal. This might be the season for Minnesota, and they have to drive with precision under any means necessary. 2 factors at play. Aaron Glenn's defense is porous as hell, and Mullins has backyard magic on his side. The bullshit might indeed be real. Redemption drive incoming.
From the 30 on first down. Mullins steps up. He throws. It is picked off. Melifonwu with the exclamation point.
What the actual hell was that? It wasn't even a fucking shock. That was simply a duck that stopped quacking the moment it left the nest. Remember when I said that you can always do worse than Kirk Cousins? I lied. It's a hell of a lot worse. Especially with Nick Mullins costing you games like this. But their loss is Detroit's celebration. This win solidifies an NFC North title for the Lions, their first in the NFC North. The last time they won a division was in the Clinton administration. First term. Over 30 years of ineptitude finally brought to rest. Good work, Detroit. You'll get your chance to avenge ancestors past soon enough. At this point, we know what the Cardinals are. A team that's just counting down the hours until they're free for winter break. Not like me when I was in school, to be honest. They sit for the last few days watching movies and dreaming about playing Xbox. It's fine, just let Justin Fields get some highlight tape for the offseason. Maybe delude the Bears into thinking he's still their savior or something. Kyler, he's kinda there, I guess. Both teams are merely auditioning players for next year, and Arizona's got a long way to go. Attempting to come back in the end, but too late to return from the abyss. This is the paper soft schedule that still has Chicago somehow on life support for playoffs. It's a win, but it doesn't really ruin their tank. Carolina's pick is still intact despite Joe Barry's attempts at sabotage. The greatest prize indeed. Jacksonville isn't just in panic mode anymore. They're simply dead. Stone cold, haphazardly buried in the ground with limbs sticking out necrotizing in the freezing air. I thought things were bad in Duval these past few weeks. Good lord, against Tampa Bay, everything's completely fallen apart. The offense destroyed. Their offensive line can't block anything on Twitter. Trevor Lawrence visibly injured and shouldn't be fucking playing. The defense, they made the Bucs revert back to world-beating form for a second straight week, flinging flames from the ether to further secure tank division. Baker Mayfield ripped and tore the absolute shit out of a franchise in the revenge tour from hell. Chariots of fire rising from the ground carrying a harbinger of the apocalypse on a throne of skulls. And took out Trevor Lawrence's shoulder while riding around the field. Just let the dude rest. To call this a convincing win for the Bucs would imply that the Jags put forth any sort of effort. It didn't feel like they did at all. 4 straight losses. Jacksonville's only saving grace is that Houston and Indy both lost. And they play the Panthers next week. That's gonna be an easy win, won't it, Jacksonville? Won't it? Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the Fraud Bowl. 2 teams that thrive on terrible opponents only to buckle at the slightest of adversity. Only one can maintain their bragging rights for this auspicious title. Will it be Miami, who hasn't won against a playoff caliber team all season? Or will it be Dallas, who is weakened outside of AT&T Stadium? Neither team wants to be crowned with the thorns of faux contention, and they'll make it a strong duel to the very end. There's one concern that needs to be addressed for the Cowboys, though. They're awful on the road. In their travels, their home cooking goes sour. Whatever strengths they have are exposed to the cold winds of reality. That brilliant pass rush can't do a damn thing to generate pressure, only accruing 1 sack against an O-line full of backups. It's honestly pretty standard Cowboys. Need a win to assert dominance, yet fold like a stack of cards. Whatever their concern, whatever they throw at Miami, nothing holds. They just can't get into that extra gear they flashed throughout the season. All that's being traded by both teams are field goals despite the efforts of Dak and CD. The 6-point deficit, Dallas needs to make sure they can keep up with an easy Eagles schedule. They must pounce on the opportunity. They do get a little help from the Zebras, but in this scenario, don't ask questions, just take the touchdown and run. They have a 1-point lead in crunch time. The defense just needs to hold. Only one problem. The Cowboys are cursed on the road. There is only despair and isolation on the lonely trail. And it leads Miami right to field goal range with no time left.
He's got it! Miami is is in the playoffs.
That's an interesting way to get your first win against an opponent in 20 years. The questions and concerns can be silenced, at least for a day. The world laughs at Dallas in a service to most Americans. It was far from pretty, but at the end of the day, what's done is done. Their ticket is secure. Welcome back to the playoffs, Dolphins. Dangers of hopium are not noticed until it's far too late. When an overdose of false positives hits a man, there is no antidote for the spread. His healing powers become toxic and erode everything within. His strength may be fading and could be betrayed by powers greater than him, but the hoodie still enjoys upending his former rivals in a time long past. His choice of scheme tonight? The Three Stooges formation. A comedy of failure, fumbles, fucking of the ball, and the death of kickers everywhere. It's less defensive slugfest and more offensive shittery. At least until New England strikes with a precise drive. Really, New England? Not too shabby for the lead. Chad Ryland celebrates by killing a field goal knife. The Broncos defense has lost Vance Joseph's secret stuff and have surrendered another gashing drive for a touchdown. Mind-baffling. You know how the Patriots make this a 16-point lead? Because nothing makes any sense. This is why I'm throwing logic out the window. The NFL did that years ago. All that's left is volatility and madness. And of course, because we can have nothing sane in this world, the Patriots quickly blow the lead they were never meant to have. All I wanted for Christmas was a sports ball that wasn't the length of Gettysburg. We can have no respite from chaos. It is my lifeline. All there will be is the inevitable Denver win and endless hopium that rises from the ground itself. The Patriot defenses are buckling, and the Broncos right do a punt? Billy Zappi still has some zip left in his arm? They're in field goal range? I have no faith in Chad Ryland, but how the hell did this happen?
Ryland for the win. Chad Ryland. It's good.
There's a twist I didn't expect. Denver folding at the last possible second to crash to hell after eons of false hope. We outsiders all saw it coming from a mile away, but hopium forces fans to ignore the obvious signs. Death was merely delayed. A fun swing upward only to remember cold reality. The ride never ends. You are trapped. Enjoy your stay. New England wins by probably losing out on Caleb Williams and Drake May. Belichick's probably not going to be here next year anyway. He doesn't give a shit. But at least he gave us some laughs. Oh my god! Chiefs! I figured you were ripe to be upended in the wildcard round, but to pull this off? I'm impressed. A team that's supposed to thrive on their offense turned into Matt Nagy with the fucking Bears. Nearly every single thing that could go wrong for Kansas City not only went so, it blew up in their faces in unbelievably spectacular fashion. It was a comedy show disguised as a football game. Nickelodeon should have just added an arsenal of sound effects and called it a day. The game was lost on 2 offensive fuck-ups. 7 seconds apart. Mahomes serving up Hot Pockets as he flails around in a circle hoping someone manages to catch a fucking ball. Las Vegas just stood there and did nothing. And they still looked like daisies compared to their opponent. The Chiefs lost to a team that hadn't completed a pass after the first quarter. The Raiders didn't even have Josh Jacobs. Zamir White ate them alive. Everything shit the bed for Kansas City. Even the training tables buckled under the pressure. A prime holiday shit show reminds me of Ralphie with the BB gun. Shooting your eye out for lol cow of the week. Nearing the end of the NFL season and nearly every team is complete shit and I'm losing my damn mind. We'll see you in January, Kansas City. Christmas is a time of many blessings. These did not take place at the Link. In another showing of awful gaming, the Giants tried to disconnect their Ethernet cable mid-match. But there would be no such luck. Philly not only significantly outmuscled them, but outpushed them in both the trenches and flanks. A miserable slog for all of Jersey where they cry into a pot of clam pasta to make homemade sauce. An offense that has finally run out of gusto and parm to season their attack. As Philly flies away, a hard decision is made. The Feast of the Seven Fishes has a new offering on the table. Whacked DeVito. The magical ride is over. Tyrod Taylor's coming in. and he'll prove absolutely nothing besides missing nearly every single wide-open receiver that he chucks the ball towards on the run. You have to understand, the Eagles weren't even good in this game. Repeated self-sabotage was the main recipe in the oven. Terrible execution only serving to give New York undeserved life. Seriously, if they don't get in their own fucking way, the Eagles win by at least 30. It was that much of a blowout. But alas, Philly survives not only the Giants, but themselves. Mostly themselves. Toying with their prey for way too long, proving nothing rewarded for playing a bad opponent. New York, you did play hard and fought to the end. We're proud. Step this way. The NFL's going to make you a made man. If Ali versus Frazier were personified in a matchup, this is it. The heavyweight bout for an age. Or if you're Rashard Mendenhall, the closest thing to his ideal Pro Bowl. This was supposed to be a championship preview. Brock Purdy is a shoo-in for MVP? Is this your king? Against the Ravens, the 49ers walked into the ring proud and tall. They leave humiliated and bloodied as they fall for every single trap laid out. The Purdy haters have waited in the shadows for this moment, and tonight they celebrate their miracle. Brock looked completely exposed in the elements of California, being picked apart and then picked off again and again. 4 interceptions into the infant stages of the third quarter. Baltimore made him look XFL tier. The injury that took him out was a showing of mercy. We all hailed San Francisco as the de facto Super Bowl favorite. They've been knocked off their perch, and in its stead is a Raven. Their defense laid that powerful foe to waste. And Lamar and his weapons did the rest. One of the greatest statements Baltimore's made in a long time. And this is their ultimate chance. They take out Miami next week. The only thing that can stop them are themselves. 2 more weeks to go, yet we have solved next to nothing. A few more pieces have moved into position, but very little set in stone. 2 teams clinched, 2 more eliminated, yet there are still 10 more teams that need to be cut off from the pack. Only 2 real contenders remain for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Baltimore and Miami. Conveniently, they play each other next week. The winner of that matchup likely decides the first round bye. Yet Cleveland's still got a very slim chance to claim it. I don't know how, but life is strange like that. The AFC East has no change, but Miami clinches it with a win or Buffalo loss. Any other outcome will set up a Week 18 matchup for the crown and its spoils. The AFC South might be the real tank division. Everyone lost. Same scenario as last week, with Jacksonville still somehow controlling their own destiny. Don't fuck up against Carolina. The wild cards are still a hot mess. Cleveland is all but a given, but Buffalo has escaped certain humiliation with a strong run of form. The 7th seed from hell is still Indianapolis's domain. But the Texans, Steelers, and Bengals are clinging on to their rear bumper. Denver's devastating losses all but knocked them out of contention. Yet the Raiders are defying life itself. You tell me how that is. The NFC number 1 seed has a new wrinkle with San Francisco's loss. Philadelphia has a renewed chance to stake a claim for that title in spite of themselves. Detroit has it in their sights as well. But the Niners still control their own destiny in that regard. The NFC East is a simple proposition. An Eagles win or Cowboys loss in the next 2 weeks means Philly secures a home playoff game. And they play the Cardinals and Giants. Barring a hilarious collapse, it's theirs. Tank division at Tampa Bay further secure a home matchup against most likely Dallas. Atlanta and New Orleans are a game back, but their best shot of doing anything is in the wildcard barring an implosion. The wildcard spots, excluding Dallas, are now solely controlled by the Rams and Seahawks, with LA controlling tiebreaker. 1 game back are Minnesota, Atlanta, Green Bay, and New Orleans in mixed states of being. And then the Bears. Somehow not dead yet. We have 2 weeks left, and the purge will shortly commence. Make your preparations now, for there will only be one phrase chanted throughout the land. Don't get eliminated!
Bring out Janine!
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Bring out Janine! Bring out Janine!
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost.
The bloodlust of the football gods will never be quenched. Amen.
Because now they weren't calling him Monk, they were calling Joe Grandpa.
Kickoff, Hopkins to Pierce. Still going. Pierce. Texans need it. Does Pierce have enough gas? He does! Touchdown, Houston! 98 yards on the run back.